Hello, I'm Jonasz Lewiński and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. Russia, the eternal drama queen of global politics, is back with another performance, this time featuring a supposed Storm Shadow missile strike in the Kursk region. Social media is abuzz with videos, analysts are dissecting every single frame, and the Kremlin is playing the victim louder than ever. You would think a nation that specializes in spreading chaos might have prepared for, a little payback.
Взрывают сейчас. Вон там дым идет. Еще они там забомбили. Еще один прилет летит. Это взрывы, а? Серег, хрен его знает, мы, наверное, сейчас ломанемся отсюда. Ай, бля. Пиздец, хрен, я здесь сейчас, бля. Ай, бля, пиздец.
If you thought the reaction video was dead, think again. The Russians are elevating it to an art form. Anyway, the alleged target of the strike, the historic estate of the Baryatinsky princess, because nothing screams strategic significance like a centuries-old reminder of aristocratic excess. Maybe this is poetic justice after all, a relic of imperial glory, caught in the fallout of modern imperial delusions. The irony practically writes itself. And now, with reports of an intercontinental ballistic missile, possibly the RS-26 Rubezh, targeting Dnipro, Russia seems determined to escalate the absurdity, launching an ICBM against a country that doesn't even have one in its arsenal. It's like bringing a bazooka to a snowball fight, unhinged and wildly disproportionate. Also, before panic kicks in, this was allegedly a non-nuclear ICBM, just in case anyone thought we'd be role-playing the latest Fallout or Metro games anytime soon. However, an ICBM with a conventional warhead, still pretty nasty, and pretty hard to intercept too. Some Western officials apparently said it was not an ICBM, the video is arguably lo-fi, but, it's in the realm of possibility, unfortunately. And let's not forget, this is classic Kremlin playbook material. Act tough, escalate the stakes, and then cry victim when the blowback arrives. Russia's narrative building is so predictable, it's practically a drinking game at this point. Unverified footage? Take a sip. Speculation from state media. Bottoms up. Blaming the West. Finish the bottle. As always, the Kremlin's hypocrisy knows no bounds. A nation that's flagrantly violated sovereignty, annexed territories and bombed cities to rubble is now clutching its pearls because someone dared to push back. It's like the schoolyard bully running to the teacher after getting a well-deserved punch in the nose. So here is a thought for Moscow. Perhaps stop launching missiles and people might stop launching them back? But introspection has never been a Kremlin specialty. It's far easier to play the aggrieved party while continuing to escalate the very conflict that they instigated. In the theater of geopolitics, Russia's act is wearing thin. The noble victim routine has long been exposed for what it is, a poorly executed farce. Maybe it's time for Moscow to face reality, but until then, let the drama continue. It's almost entertaining in a tragic sort of way. Russia, the master strategist of international chaos. The latest stroke of genius apparently involves carving Ukraine up like the Thanksgiving turkey. The Kremlin's alleged grand plan annexed the tasty bits for itself, turned the middle into a puppet regime because one puppet government just isn't enough, and generously tossed the leftovers to Ukraine's neighbors, including Poland. How thoughtful. Nothing screams diplomacy like offering someone else's land to third parties, especially if the parties in question are not interested at all. Of course, the timing of this harebrained scheme is impeccable, coinciding with the potential return of Donald Trump to the White House. Actually, not potential, it's quite certain. But the plan for Ukraine that he has, well, still potential, because we don't know. Anyway, clearly, Russia's foreign policy strategy revolves around helping the guy who once asked if nuking hurricanes was a good idea will suddenly become their geopolitical best friend forever. Perhaps Putin thinks Trump will waltz into the Oval Office, pen in hand, and rubber stamp the whole plan in between rounds of golf. Let's not forget the level of delusion here. The idea that Russia can redraw borders and hand out countries like monopoly pieces is peak Kremlin absurdity. It's as if Putin's advisors are binge-watching history documentaries from the 18th century and saying, we could totally do this again. But hey, who needs international law or the consent of the Ukrainian people when you've got a few colored markers and a map? Bravo, Russia, truly, if the Olympics had a category for tone-deaf imperial fantasies, you'd be taking home gold every time. Also, remember how some Western leaders keep up the hope that Putin could be made to respect international agreements, the whole peace crowd. I guess seeing Russia drawing up a full-fledged plan to annihilate Ukrainian statehood must come as a bit of a shock, and we might quite possibly be hearing sad Olaf Scholz noises in the background there. Now, the Russian ruble, a currency that dreams big but falls harder than Putin's approval ratings at an EU summit. Once touted as the pride of Mother Russia, it now hovers around 100 to the dollar, proving that even Russia's economy is keen on practicing social distancing from stability. Remember when the Soviet Union boldly predicted the collapse of the US dollar back in 1978? Classic comedy. Fast forward to today, and it seems the only thing collapsing is the ruble itself, doing cartwheels on the international exchange floor like a circus act nobody paid to see. Maybe this is what they meant by Russian resilience, bouncing back so hard it nearly ricochets into irrelevance.
Непосвященному почти невозможно разобраться в этом хаосе пляшущих цифр и лихорадочной суеты, в этом отнюдь нестабильном мире спекуляций, взлетов и падений. Но сегодня, так же как и вчера, позавчера и все последнее время, главная тенденция – это падение. Неуклонное падение цены на американский доллар. Никогда еще за все послевоенные годы он не покупался и не продавался столь дешево, как сейчас. Сегодня его стоимость здесь на бирже 2,02 марки ФРГ, то есть, как видите, еще на 0,02 меньше, чем вчера. Если бы западногерманский федеральный банк не изъял сотни миллионов долларов из валютного рынка, то есть не закупил бы их, то стоимость доллара упала бы ниже роковой черты в 2 марки. Доллар болен.
And the Kremlin's response? Oh, the usual mix of chest-puffing and finger-pointing. It's always the West's fault. Or NATO's. Or maybe even Elon Musk and his satellites, for all we know. But never, ever dare suggest it might be the fault of, decades of mismanagement, corruption, and pouring national resources into a war that no one but Putin wanted. No, that would be blasphemy. Meanwhile, ordinary Russians are left scratching their heads, and possibly their empty wallets, wondering how a nation sitting on vast oil reserves and claiming to be an economic superpower manages to tank its currency faster than it can censor a critical Instagram post. Maybe the Kremlin should take a break from trying to annex countries and focus on annexing a functional financial policy instead. But don't worry, Russia's propaganda machine is already on it. Any day now, we'll hear about how the ruble's fall is actually a strategic devaluation to confuse the West. Or maybe it's a noble sacrifice for the glory of the special military operation. Either way, rest assured, the narrative will be as airtight as a sieve. So, here is to the ruble, that scrappy little currency that could, or at least tried to, until reality came knocking. As for the Russian economy, remember Fist of the North Star? That old anime classic where the lead character would hit the enemy in a specific way and then proclaim, "You're already dead." And of course, next thing you know, the enemy simply explodes into little chunks. Well, the Russian economy might just have found itself on the receiving end of the Hokuto Hyakaretsuken, except it doesn't know it yet. And with this, we end this episode of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.